Hello, and welcome to Community Voices, where we talk to Humboldt County's movers and shakers. Today's guests, Eureka street art organizer and muralist Jenna Catsos, and muralist and illustrator Mir De Silva. And now here's your host, Bressoud.
Hello and welcome to Access Humboldt's Community Voices. I'm your host, Bressoud, today with artists Mir De Silva and Jenna Catsos. So welcome, ladies, to the show. You are part of the Eureka mural projects that are going on. And first, for our audience, I'd like you guys to explain what you're up to, and then I'll ask questions as we go, because I find it a fascinating topic and what you're involved in.
Yeah, well, I'll jump in first. So I am one of the organizers of the Eureka Street Art Festival, and we have been going for 4 years. We just completed our 4th annual festival a couple weeks ago in the beginning of August. And Mir has participated in the festival for 2 years, which is awesome. She's painted 2 incredible murals as part of the festival. This year, I also painted as part of the festival, and Mir has also done a bunch of other public art in the city that she could probably talk about.
Well, can I ask a quick question first? The festivals, this was the 4th annual. Are all the festivals public art festivals?
Yes. Yeah, they're all street art. So all public outdoor artworks, mostly murals, but we've also dabbled in some other stuff as well.
Okay. And Mir, what have you been up to with the festival?
I'm really excited that I had been able to participate 2 years back to back. I've also worked on a couple other side projects. I was part of the Samoa Peninsula vault mural project, painted a vault out near the Humboldt Bay Social Club. I've also worked with Eureka High to put down a pretty large storm drain mural. And I've been around doing little things, mostly I like the group setting of a street festival, but a lot of the other projects I worked on has also been put together by a team. And I think that's a really fun and important part of it. So
is street art, these mural projects, is this something that is happening around the country, around the world? I mean, how are these ideas sparked to have street art and public art?
Yeah, public art is, I think, really having a moment around the country. Locally, we started this. There's 3 of us who organize it, myself, Swan Asbury, and Michelle Cartledge. And Michelle is a co-owner of the Humboldt Cider Company. And a couple of years ago, she was on the local city commission for economic development. And they were trying to think of creative ways to boost our local economy. And she comes from the background of beverages and festivals and beer gardens and all of that. And so thought that something with that component could be really successful. And Eureka already had a bunch of murals before we even started this. We've had a pretty great history of murals in the city. And so it was an idea to kind of lift up something that we're already doing well and add to it. And up until COVID, we had been doing a big block party as part of the festival, which incorporated the beer gardens and that whole aspect. And just the idea of doing something for the week that brings people together, but then also exists after that and beyond just the week. And so it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal that we get this awesome week-long festival, but then there's also something that exists and continues to be something that draws in, tourists, and really is an awesome experience for folks who live here also.
So let's talk about that. You have a tradition of murals, as you said, in Eureka. Now, you're thinking about having a public festival, public art, where you want to add and continue with that tradition, more murals. Do you start walking around and looking for spaces, blank walls, blank canvases around the city in which to put these murals?
Yeah, so every year so far, we've really focused on a specific geographical area of the city, and that has really been what's tied it together. Our first year was Opera Alley. Our second year was kind of downtown Eureka. Last year was Henderson Center, and this year was the 101 corridor. And once we kind of choose that zone, yeah, we walk around and we start thinking about the potential of walls and we start talking to the property owners, and they are really the keystone of this, of we need the permission of the people who own the walls. And so that's the trickiest part, for sure, but we're getting better as we go.
So is that a democratic process? Is there a board that decides that? I would hope that there's a fifth annual. Have you already been scouting out locations for that?
We have. We've got some fun ideas in the works for next year. We're thinking of doing something more neighborhood focused, in kind of throughout all the cool neighborhoods in the city. But yeah, it's a process, and it's the committee is the three of us. We also bring in other folks for different kind of parts of the process, but it's year long to get it going. It's slow and a lot of people, a lot of communication. We generally, the last few years, have put out a call for artists, and we have gotten close to 1,000 applications from artists around the world. So every single step of the way is a lot of people involved, but it's awesome. There's interest in it, which is really exciting.
Now, do you go out and recruit artists? Like Mir is here at Humboldt State. I mean, do you see that there's, like a bird dog scout finds a ball player and signs them to the squad? I mean, is that what you're doing with artists? Like, Mir, how did you get involved in it?
Well, I actually applied and didn't get in the first time I applied. I was fortunate that, with COVID, got to look for those silver linings. But with COVID, it was hard bringing artists from out of the area. That's not something that I don't think the organizers had any interest in doing. So we had a sort of wonderful moment where we were showcasing local artists. And that's where I snuck in there again.
I looked at your art on your webpage. It would seem like your art would transfer well to mural art. Did you feel that way, that you were made for that kind of public art?
I've been doing large scale murals as weird side projects for a while. I started painting a coffee bathroom in Southern California. And yeah, I took to it, like a fish in water. I really enjoy drawing really, really big.
Now, murals, I love that description of weird side projects. Have murals been seen as weird side projects, or are they looked at as, an extraordinary medium of art?
My personal history has been a lot of weird side projects. I was doing backdrops for like Arkansas banjo bands for a while in 2014. I did a gigantic fish that my father mounted above a bench that people can sit in front of on their way to go swimming at Bull Shoals Lake in Arkansas. So, I've turned it into weird side projects. I call them that just because they're not the kind of thing you really plan for. You're just like working within the objects you have, the spaces that you have. But I do think the murals are incredible works of art. And you don't need me to explain it. You just go look at them.
Jenna, when you get people to apply, are these the kind of, I guess, what would you say, portfolios that they're sending you of the weird side projects they've done, and you can go ahead and tap them and bring them in?
So I think we're seeing a really interesting moment right now in the arts world where there are now career mural artists who that is what they do. They paint large scale. They paint around the country or around the world. They travel a lot and they just do murals. And so we're starting to see that more and more. We're actually getting a couple of those artists locally. We have a handful of folks who basically just do murals now. And so when we were first starting, we really wanted to make sure that we were bringing in artists who had painted murals before and had painted on that large of a scale, because it's different. It's a really different practice than painting a smaller piece in your studio. You know, there's a lot of challenges that come with painting large scale and painting outside and painting fast. The festival's only a week. And so something we've thought about as we've had more and more years of this under our belt is how do we help the artists who've never done this before, or who have done a couple kind of hobby murals for friends or that kind of thing. How do we help them transition more into mural artists? Because there's a market for it. People can make money. And a big part of what we want to do is help lift up our local community of artists and help them get more paying jobs.
Let's take a step back before I ask you all that goes into it. Are you developing a stable of local artists because these folks aren't able to travel and do murals? So is there a unique Humboldt school of mural art that's being developed? Are there artists that are being developed in Humboldt County that will eventually travel other places and bring what they're learning here to those mural projects?
I hope so. We actually got a bit of pushback in the first few years of the festival that we weren't only using local artists. And our thought is that, you know, we're bringing in artists from around the world to Humboldt, and we hope that other communities around the world will welcome Humboldt artists there. There's a great possibility of this kind of exchange of ideas and artwork. And so it's cool to be part of that. I really can't speak to what career path any of the local artists want to take, if they want to travel, if they want to stay local. We only have so many walls and so many people who want murals in Humboldt County. If you expand your area to even just California, you have exponentially more jobs. So I hope that people do kind of get into that. But I mean, we've had mural artists here for ages. We have Dwayne Flatmo, who's painted a lot of murals in Humboldt. And now we have Blake Regan, Lucas Thornton. They are maybe the most prodigious local artists. We've got the Mural Man. But we're trying to really open up that door and allow more people into that space so that we have more diverse art, more diverse ideas coming in, and not just 3 people, 25. That's what we want.
Before the mural goes on the wall, I mean, there must be an extraordinary process of planning, of submitting ideas and whatnot. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. I'll try to make it sound real fun. But yeah, we scope out walls. We kind of open up our ears a little bit to what the community is thinking, if there's a specific area of the city or if there's a specific cluster of property owners who are excited. We take that into account, and then we kind of choose our area. And we walk it, we think about what walls have potential, and then we start the outreach. And it's just a lot of reaching out to property owners. A lot of the buildings, it's both property owners and tenants that we need to get approval from. And first, we're just asking, can we paint a mural on your wall? Then there's, the question of, do you have any money you could put towards this? Because it's really expensive. A lot of what I do is fundraising, which is not exciting, but absolutely necessary. And then once we have our walls and we have contracts and we're really kind of locked in on the walls, then we start thinking about the artists. And in the past 3 years, the first 3 years of the festival, we had that open call to artists. And then last year, we realized that we had such a great pile of artists that we already knew that we just invited people. And then it's kind of a shuffle of putting the right artist with the right wall, and that both has to do with the size of the mural and what they're comfortable painting and the content of their work. And if the property owner is looking for something specific, it's always a bit of a shuffle to kind of get the right artist with the right property owner. And then it's just a matter of refining the rendering, and maybe Mir can talk a little bit about kind of the artist perspective of that part of the process.
Let me ask Mir specifically. Okay, you're part of the project now. Do you look around for a wall and say, yeah, that's my wall. That's the one I want. And then when you do that, I mean, do you have ideas already in your head about what you're going to submit for a project, or do you see the wall first and you see the space around it and then you decide what's going on?
Well, speaking for the Street Art Festival, no, I don't pick the wall. The wall picks me, and then I go, okay, wall, what are we going to do with you? So, and that's kind of how I handled the Dave's Place mural 2000 or last year, 2020. The wall project got twice as big as I originally anticipated and drew for. So I had to explode out my original rendering, and then I, work within the space that you have. A lot of it is personally, I plan for the main subject, and then I add in whatever elements are kind of needing to go on the other places around the wall. And that there's like gutters and like weird siding, trim, window. There's just a lot that you can't super predict for before being in front of that wall and actually putting paint on it, I guess. So the way I've adapted is I'm also working on some murals at Evolve Youth Services. It's actually in private, it's indoors, but I take pictures of the wall and I go, okay, so there's this couch sitting in front. So I already know the bottom 3 feet aren't going to be really anything. There's a window, and the way you stand in that room means you don't really see that little wall above the window. And so, I'm going to be painting the whole thing, but I know exactly where I need to put the subject. So I've started just drawing the subject, projecting that, and then hand drawing in, okay, the tree's going to go like this, the flowers are going to do this and that. So it's kind of a conversation with the wall.
Are you submitting your own original image, or does the owner of the property, the wall, the people that are in, stewardship of the wall say, we want something of this nature? Or does the festival say, this is what we're looking for along here? Who's deciding the image?
It's a conversation. So the drawing can get done, for this year's festival, I was sponsored by Epic, and they wanted a Martin. And I was so excited about that. But my original drawing wasn't necessarily what they were looking for. So I kind of adapted to do a drawing that I think that would, work for all groups. But Ellis Art and Engineering had to say, the Street Art Festival had to say, Epic had to say, and the property owner had to say, and what the ultimate design was. And that took some moving things around, making things bigger, removing banners, removing text, adding this, adding that. So it's a conversation.
Now you're an artist, and I would imagine that's an individual skill. Is that a cool thing to have the conversation, or does it drive you nuts?
Well, so I think it's an important thing as a mural artist. I like to think of my job as a trade. I love the craft of it, and I love the creativity that goes into making murals. And at the end of the day, I am painting a public wall that is owned by someone, not myself. And so I can paint on my fence whatever I want, and that's fun. But I recognize that a conversation is needed, and it's important to remove your ego from situations like painting a mural, and just go with, what are we all looking for, and what are we all trying to achieve? Bigger picture. Is
that one of the most important hurdles of being a mural artist? Is that you're going to go through a process that maybe no other art form that you've worked in before has had to have? I don't think of that as being the biggest hurdle. I enjoy the challenge of it. Challenge. There you go. So now, as things are going on, you're just a week or two past this festival. Are you already working on the 5th annual?
Yeah.
In short answer.
Yeah, there's always this thinking about like what's next, and during the festival when we have all the people out walking around, it's fun to ask them like, where do you want to see it happen next time? And so there's just a constant conversation about what's coming next and what it's going to look like. And I think right now, it's both exciting to think about things in the future because there's not a lot that's coming up that there is to look forward to. But it's also extra challenging because we don't know what next year is going to look like in a lot of ways. And so planning for that is really tricky.
I would imagine, you didn't have the block party, but the beautiful thing about the murals is people can enjoy the art outside, which is so important during these times. Looking at the future, if you say we don't know what's in the future, can it be sustainable this way for a little while longer, where it's without the main events and just having the art and the people be able to walk around and see it? Can you keep doing it that way?
Yeah, I think so. The last 2 years have been a challenge, and to fundraise, we've had to be a little bit more creative because we don't have any of the money coming in from that big event. But the last 2 years have shown that the community's still excited about this. And I think it's the kind of thing that until, while there is still excitement, we will keep doing this. And that excitement comes in the form of money. It comes in the form of artists wanting to paint. It comes in the form of people wanting to come out and see it. And while all of that still exists, we'll keep doing it. And if there comes a time when we just can't raise the money anymore, I think that is telling. I think that means that maybe the community's moved on to other things. And so when we come to that point, we will reassess. But so far, we are able to keep it going, and the money is still there. So we're going to keep going.
Have you seen that? Have you seen a community excitement about the public art, about the beautification of spaces by creating these murals? Is the public excited? Do you see an appreciation of art maybe that you've never seen before?
Yeah, I absolutely. And I think that people are just excited to see folks investing into Eureka and making it more beautiful. And there is absolutely an excitement from all variety of folks. I see a lot of people with kids who are really excited to get them out and explore and start to kind of recognize some of the more common artists in Eureka. And now that we're kind of building this collection of public art, I think that there's a lot to be excited about.
Do you think it encourages young artists to see the street murals and the public art?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have young artists participating?
Not children young, but college age young. And we also have a lot of older artists participating. And there's a pretty good age range of folks who have painted in the festival. We've had children's murals in the past also. It just takes an extra level of coordination, and with COVID, it kind of has fallen by the wayside a bit. But I hope that people see these murals and understand that this is a way they could make a living, that creating artwork is a actual way to make a living, and that we have more people locally pursuing this. I mean, we have this incredible arts community, and if we want to maintain it, we have to invest in it, and we have to have jobs for people. And this is one way to do it. And so I hope that that people see that also.
Are the artists compensated?
Oh, 100%. I would say that 90% of the money that we raise goes directly to the artists, and the other 10% is supporting them with lifts and power washing to clean the walls and signage to kind of say who they are.
That's fantastic. Another question about encouragement. Do you see the Eureka Festival as encouraging other communities to buy into public art? Have other cities and towns from around the nation contacted you and said, what is the public art movement that's happening in Eureka, and finding out about it?
Yeah, so other communities in Humboldt have been excited to do it. I'm curious to see how many street art or mural festivals Humboldt County can support. I've I'm down to see other folks do it. I think it'll be exciting. But I know Arcata has had some interest. Scotia and Rio Dell have had some interest. And then there's currently a lot of street art and mural festivals happening around the country, and we're all kind of connected. We talk a lot through social media and places like that, and it's a great community. There's a lot of like lifting up. There's a lot of artists who will do multiple festivals, and so we'll talk and be like, oh yeah, they were in Eureka last year, they're super fun. And the Jackson, Michigan has a really great street art festival. There's one in Western Massachusetts. There's a couple down in Southern California. And I would say we kind of all started around the same time. So I don't know about saying that we inspired them to make it happen. But definitely there's this great connection and kind of a support and excitement that we certainly share.
Well, a final question. I know that they printed the map and put it in the journal. Can people still get a hard copy of the mural map so they can walk around all during the year and see them?
Yeah, hard copy is a little hard. I think we gave all of them out. We had over 1,000 programs printed, and I don't think we have any left. If you want to find a hard copy map, you could check the visitor center, the Eureka Visitor Center. But otherwise, there's a digital copy on our website, and that is the best way to explore both the murals from this year. And I haven't updated it yet, but soon I will update our kind of master map that has all of the murals from all of the years of the festival. And we actually just started talking about putting together kind of a self-guided audio tour. So that is something that we're gonna try to put together.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I'd like to thank both of you for coming on, Mir De Silva and Jenna Catsos. I didn't even get to ask about the Jerry Garcia Sasquatch mural. I mean, my goodness, what kind of conversations happened with that one? But,
so that one was actually bonus, totally outside of the festival. So that's something fun that happens, is that there's always extra things that pop up.
How could that go through a committee? So I want to thank you both for being guests on Access Humboldt's Community Voices, and keep up the good work. Can't wait till the 5th annual, and you two have a good day. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
This has been Community Voices with your host, Paul Bressoud. Thank you for joining us. If you represent a nonprofit organization and are interested in being a guest on Community Voices, send an email to info@accesshumboldt.net or call 476-1798. Access Humboldt, local voices through community media.